Thank you, Antonio. I have a question, but we'll wait for the question and answers at the end to ask you. Now we are going to listen to Jose Allen, is a civil servant at the Cadastre institution and is coming from the Miguel Hernandez University from Elche. He will be talking about urban planning and cadastre with gvSIG. So thank you very much for your invitation. It's a great opportunity to share the result of the project that we are developing at the university. I would like to introduce a new concept at a very low cost, what is very interesting in this period of economic crisis. So I would like to define the different data, and well, this is something that we will be able to use for any urban planning, territorial planning, when we are modernizing some irrigation network or any other plan. We are using new technologies and free data from the different administration on the web, and obviously free software use. It's a low-cost project, and the requirements are the following. They must be simple. The access must be easy for any technician in order to develop that software. So I would like to share with the different principles that we have been using for this project. So we are using the Cadastre, the Information Society, and well, the free data available on that issue. And the data from the Cadastre that we all have access to. So we have some limits with electronic signature, but in general, we have access to that. We also have geospatial data, the auto images, and the environment of the infrastructure. We also have to take into account the urban planning at the national and regional level here in Spain. It's still not a very translucent information. We still have to work on that information. We have lots of information. We have different webs with different information, but not all the information is accessible to all. So we have to work with that data to filter them. And at the end, we will see a practical case with the orchard in Murcia. It's an area that we can manage very well. So in this project, what we are trying to do is we are trying to organize the different uses of the land. This is our objective, to plan and organize the characteristics of the different data. So first, we are going to download the data from the Cadastre web. We have two different databases, one for the rural data and another one for the urban data. So first we have to check the quality of the data that we are going to use. We will also have to update the data. We have to make sure that we are using quality and updated data. This is the first action that we will have to take. Then after that, we will have to see the available author images in the region of Murcia. We have some pictures that have been made in 1945 and others, and also all the author pictures that have been done by the national plan. It's not only the regional picture, but also the national pictures that have been made. And obviously, well, the software, the gvSIG software, that's going to help us. So these are the tools that we are going to use. So when we wanted to download the Cadastre data, well, we have continuous map, we have lines, we have squares, we have the profile, the usage, the structure, the infrastructure. But when we are downloading it to use them, we have lots of layers, lots of added tables. So it's not very easy. For example, here you have an example of one of those downloaded tables, that downloaded information. That information is very complex, very difficult to handle, and you have to know very well the internal data structure, well, to know exactly how to handle it, how to manage that information. Here we have the development scheme of what would be the different uses of the land. Well, we see the different uses, like we have the number at the cadastre, well, the use of the different slots in the rural database, and also the building that we find in the rural and in the urban database. So some data are repeated, so we have to make sure that we filter that. And from all these data, we find all the other processes. I don't have the time to explain them all, but you have to know that once we have downloaded those data with all these different layer categories, well, you see that we have to launch lots of geo processes, and well, it's a good way to know how to learn gvSIG processes. There are lots of geo processes that we have to use here, well, to filter and to organize a bit that information. Now, let's have a look at the area that we have studied. If you know Murcia, this is the orchard of Murcia. It's using irrigation techniques, traditional irrigation techniques. We have 4 different municipalities there, and it's out of the 400,000 inhabitants of this area. Well, in that environment, in the urban nucleus, we find 200,000 inhabitants, and the rest, well, are scattered, well, on that green stain that you see on the map. So they are really disseminated. We have very isolated houses. Here you see the Murcia orchard area. I don't know if you see it from the back of the room, because it's a bit difficult to see, but it's full of houses. You see, it's a anarchic infrastructure. It's not very well distributed. It's very, very scattered. So when we are trying to have a standard plant, or when we want to design a new irrigation network, is very difficult. So this is why we have to study what has been the historic evolution. We have also studied the uses of the land. We have tried to define the different uses, the culture, the irrigation use, etc. We are filling the gaps, and we are adding a new layer, the buildings that have been made on rural land. And we add construction. Now we have the urban layer, the urban land that are not consolidated. All the lands that you see there are lands that we can section, or they can be categorized. So they are considered as urban land as they are being built, and they are incorporated in the map. Here we have another municipality in Veniel. You see, well, the map with the different layers. You see the culture, the crops, the disseminated houses, the buildings, You have also in yellow lands that is not yet occupied. They have not been developed, those areas. And these lands have been sectioned. They have been divided into slots. And it is from the 2001 map. Then we compare it to the 2011 map, and we are comparing the different data. Here we see another map in which we are including urban planning. So we have also a validation process of the author images. And here we have the different uses of Beniel. We see the agricultural trails, those slots that can be built, the urban slots. I'm not going to study each and every municipality, but you see that from this plot study, we can also study the ownership of those plots. We can see the development of ownership in that region. And to study the historic evolution, I have started with the 1959 author image. I have digitalized it to see a bit what happened, what has been the evolution of that territory. So we had at the beginning an orchard, 100% orchard area with consolidated nucleus in Murcia, and we see that the territory has been evolving, has been changing. We have different uses that have been developed there, different scenarios. We have now 5,000 hectares that now are fully agricultural lands. We have lost a lot of hectares that at the beginning were dedicated to agriculture, and now, well, the uses have changed, and the agricultural lands have been reduced to 5,000 hectares. After that, after studying the use of land, we are doing a planning study. Here we see the different trends, the different evolutions that this territory has experienced. We are generating a grid with 150,000 registers that have been made over the territory. So we are generating a grid to realize a raster treatment to that territory. And here we have a zoning of the territory to see what is the territory left without any use. And so in yellow, it's a territory that we have lost, that is not used anymore for agricultural uses. Then we also see the surface dedicated to agriculture and the surface that has been used for construction, for urban purposes. In pink, well, we see the family gardens, the family orchards. It means that in those pink areas, well, some people might be cultivated for their own use or simply for fun. And in green and black, well, those lands are dedicated to agricultural products, and we have to protect that to make sure that we are not reducing, well, the number of hectares dedicated to agriculture. I told you that we've had a strong reduction, so we may have to make sure that we need to protect those agricultural areas. So you see a bit the criteria that we have used: high, intermediate, and low productivity. And according to the development of our actions, our preservation and protection action, well, those green, black, and red dot could turn into yellow or green. Sorry for being so quick, but you see a bit the different concept, the different criterions that we are using when studying, well, that land, that map. We are organizing some training courses online to use and understand, well, these data and how to handle those data. This is why we are organizing that training course. But in general, lots of people know how to download the data, but they don't know how to handle them. They don't know how to manage them. Well, that's it. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Ahora, si os parece, abrimos un turno.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question in the room. I don't know if there is a question, a comment that you would like to do. Well, I will start. I will start with Carlos. Well, you said that you're convinced that it's very interesting to use free software, but from the city hall with which you've been working, from their perspective, what is the model? What is the relationship that you have as a consulting agency with the city halls? Well, it depends a bit of the period. Well, some years ago, we had lots of subsidies, so it was easy to work. You could create a need for the city hall. You could explain to the city halls why gvSIG was so useful. Now it's a bit more difficult. You have to visit the city hall again and again and explain very clearly why they need to use gvSIG. Well, at least now gvSIG is a bit more well known than in the past, so it's a bit better. And now you can explain why they would need gvSIG for a pavement inventory or for any other inventory. So they can contract us for a project. They can contract us simply for a few hours to study, well, the first parameter. So it really depends on the project that you want to launch with that city hall in particular. Another question? Good morning. It's a question for Carlos and for Antonio. You said that with phylloxera, you have the information about the different plants. And thanks to the software, to that software and to the phylloxera, could we also add the PDF with more information? Is it possible to integrate the PDF with more information inside the phylloxera? Well, yes, we could do it. It's very easy. You can use the same table cell and put a link. We have also Abeille. It's another extension. We can add a button or a function for hyperlink. So the extension right now does not exist, but we could do it very easily. I think that he is dealing with a heavy client and I'm dealing with a light client on the internet. That's the difference between him and me. So we have different support. Well, it can be a desktop, it could be a mobile phone. We would have access to that information. If you have a tablet, for example, you take a picture and you can load it immediately on the software. So it's very easy and very flexible.
Precisamente mi pregunta para ti va en la línea de la movilidad, porque
if we compare with the local police in Valencia, one of the most modern in Spain. So they are still using paper blocks, so it's still very difficult to make sure that they are using new technologies. Well, right now, well, there's no project to modernize the police forces with the use of that system. I'm trying to collect the ideas from the police forces. I'm trying to do some interviews to know the needs of the police forces, and lots of them say that they would like to be connected in the police cars, for example, to that system. Right now, the study is free, but well, if we need to install new technologies, well, obviously it will be more expensive, and some city halls are not ready, well, to invest. In some city halls they are using old computers, so if we want to install that system, well, we need to invest and to buy new computers, new tablets, new devices in general to use well, the system that we have designed. It's a question of time, it's a question of money too. I have a question for the last speaker. So after working with Victorial system, why are you rostering at the end? So why have you been doing it? Why have you been rasterizing the data? We have used a raster to create some ratios. We wanted to rasterize a territory, a plot, to study the evolution, the trends of the territory. We wanted to have a more objective treatment to the territory, but taking into account the vectorial aspect too. So rasterization has been used to have a much more objective overview of the territory distribution. So we have been using a comparison between surface and land dedicated to agriculture. So we've been using the database with land use information, depending a bit on the needs of the users. Obviously, we were always trying to satisfy the users, but this is what we've done at the beginning. My question is for Antonio. You were talking about the crime map. How are you saving all the incidents, the crimes that are reported by the police forces? Well, as I told you, it's a project that will be launched next year. We have lots of information, lots of departments, and it's a bit difficult to manage everything, to manage all that information. So last year we have created what you have seen with different information handled by the local police forces. They have been using a software run by a private company. It's a raster software introducing tables without any connection between each other. We could migrate it into SIG. Yes, we could do it, but we don't have the time to do it right now. Maybe in 4 years' time, when, well, departments are more connected, we might be able to do it. We could add a button when they are introducing a crime. we could add a map viewer, and they could include the crime with the crime number and the registered number with the typology of the crime. So thanks to those icons, we'll know if it's a road accident, if it's a theft. Well, we know a bit the different types of crimes that we are talking about, that we are registering yet. But have you already classified the different crimes? Yes, the police forces has done it. They have an inventory of more than 100 codes. 1.1, for example, is a theft or something like that. And are you going to group all these codes in a smaller catalog, in a smaller library? Yes, we have lots of codes, and at the end we will filter a bit those codes, and we would give them a geo-reference, and we are going to group them and to have less codes at the end, and in a few seconds it will enter directly in SIG. So right now we don't have the time to do that. And what you've been talking about phylloxera, you say that we need to have a database to make sure that for each plot, well, from time to time we have different owners for only one plot. And if we don't have that data connecting the two tables that you were talking about, you said that an irrigation device can irrigate different plots. So could we build another tool that would also find a spatial information, to know exactly which irrigation device is irrigating how many plots? Could we do that? Well, I think it would be very difficult to do it. Then we would have to select each and every tree and to know each and every connection reaching each tree. So we would connect one table to another. But could we have a tool that we would be able to use for that? We wouldn't have to consult it. Just clicking on a button, we would have it. But then we need a polygon tree, making sure that all the trees irrigated by that connector will appear directly on that polygon.
¿Alguna pregunta más?
Any other question?
Yo tengo una para ti, José.
I have one for you, José. So you're from the Cadastre, you're a teacher at the university. I'm sure that you've been in touch with different Cadastre technicians in the different city hall. I would like to know the extent of use of those new technologies in the city hall. Are they using those new technologies a lot? Well, in general, I'm dealing with big municipalities. Alicante, Murcia, municipalities are quite big. We are talking about 12,000 inhabitants municipalities. Those city halls will have to work on the possibility to offer free and accessible data. Normally, technicians are consulting or trying to consult the data from the city halls, and unfortunately those data are not always transparent. It's not very easy, they are not very accessible. So they should simply load a PDF or a printable PDF Right now, the information is encrypted. It's very difficult to access. So I really need that information to have another format, to be simple, to be easy to use. Right now, unfortunately, the data are encrypted, as I was telling you, and so it's not very easy for technicians to access easily to those data. I don't know exactly why, but this is a data that is saved and hidden somewhere. So it's very difficult for technicians to consult that data.
El planeamiento urbanístico. Hay mucho por hacer, hay mucho.
So we have still a lot to do to improve that situation. It's not available to everybody. So we are trying to liberalize those data for everybody, for the administration, in order to update its own data. But we want also to make sure that they are accessible for all the technicians working on that information.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I wanted to thank the three speakers. They have respected their time and also for sharing their very interesting experience. Thank you very much. We will close this session. Oh, there is one more question. Another question for Antonio. You say that the cadastre information are linked to the patrimony. So those cadastral titles should also be linked to the building licenses. The owner of the plot delegates to a constructor, to a builder, to a contractor, the right to build on this plot. So if you consult the building license, the work license, well, you have the different layers, the work licenses, then you look for the author photo, the cadastre. So you have the different layers. You have the census too. If you look for that layer per work, for a constructor, per contractor, you will find the plots of that owners. You know if that plot has been registered. Well, you will get all the information you need. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you to the speakers for their clear explanations.